Hi, and welcome back to Tax Time Thursdays. This series is dedicated to exploring outreach strategies to reach underserved communities. Today, we will be focusing on reaching people experiencing homelessness, and our presenter is Deacon Jim Shanahan with Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Washington in the District of Columbia. We're so glad to have you here, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Roxy. And if Reagan, if you could pop up the first slide there, that would be helpful. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And for those that are on different time zones than us, good morning. As Roxy mentioned, my name is Deacon Jim Shanahan, and I want to make a big shout out here to Roxy and her team, because these Tax Time Thursdays are spot on. It's really kind of focusing on the various opportunities and barriers affecting underserved communities, and really kind of focusing on each of the communities, because each of the communities has their own specific issues. I've been asked today to really discuss the opportunities and barriers for asset building, specifically as it relates to tax for people experiencing homelessness. I'm with Catholic Charities here in Washington, D.C. We're probably one of the largest social services agencies in the region here, and we have a fair number of shelters that we staff on behalf of the many homeless people here in Washington, D.C. Homelessness has taken on even a greater sense of urgency here in Washington, D.C. over the last half a year or so. As you may be seeing in the newspapers, there are busloads of immigrants coming up from the Mexican border with Texas and with Arizona specifically, where they're being brought to Washington, D.C. They're brought in buses, and these individuals, including children, are left at Union Station, and Union Station is in the shadows of the U.S. Capitol, and they leave parts of Texas where it's very warm, and during the winter months they would arrive here with temperatures below freezing. And so homelessness has taken on a real sense of urgency for Catholic Charities and the rest of the agencies here in Washington that serve this community. Reagan, if you could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so in addition to serving people experiencing homelessness, we serve refugees. We've got a large number of returning citizens, those folks that were formerly incarcerated. We serve people with disabilities, and work with a lot of survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. So let's turn to the first slide. The next slide, please, Reagan. And this is just a little bit of background on who I am. I spent my career with one of the big accounting firms, and actually started volunteering at Catholic Charities as an immigration lawyer. I had been a tax lawyer my whole career, and started working with immigrants in the early 2013, 14 timeframe. And this was when children were arriving at the U.S.-Mexican border without a mom or dad or a legal guardian. And so I became quickly a specialist in special immigrant juvenile status cases. And that evolved into taking on a larger role once they realized my background in finance. I was asked to build what we call our financial stability network. And what our financial stability network does, it's a volunteer-based organization modeled after our legal network and our medical network that recruits volunteers who are willing to work on a pro bono basis to provide professional services to underserved communities that need these services, but otherwise could not afford them. And we quickly realized that a large number of the underserved community that we were working with, so hard to get them housed, get them job trained, give them apartments, that 3 or 4 months later, the cycle would repeat itself because these individuals we worked so hard with just really did not have the ability to manage home economics. And so we realized the importance of financial literacy and financial coaching to help these individuals be prepared to be living on their own. A large part of that exercise is asset building. And that's an area that I focus on, in particular with all these underserved communities that we work with. And today I'm going to focus on people suffering from homelessness. And we're going to talk at large length about taxes in particular, because to me, as I look at our financial stability framework here, and I look at the various steps, in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the earned income tax credit, and I would add child tax credit to that. But one of the surest and quickest ways of building assets for all these underserved communities is to make sure that they're enjoying their full earned income tax credit, their child tax credit, and just a couple of years ago, their economic stimulus checks. So Reagan, if you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so what I'm going to be talking about specifically today are these areas. I want to talk about the earned income tax credit and child tax credit, and not necessarily, I think you all know what they are, but I'm going to talk more specifically about the barriers to enjoying those. I want to talk about the economic impact payments, and even those, they came out in 2020 and 2021, we still see a large number of the individuals we serve have yet to obtain their economic stimulus checks. When we're talking about EITC, it's a growing level at the state level, and in particular here in this region, at least, that EITC has been offered to I-10 holders, and here in DC that will be expanded to next year. Our VITA program, and that really was what the first thing that we built in the Financial Stability Network. We built that 7 years ago. This is our 7th season, but we very much view VITA as the on-ramp to having a conversation with this community about banking products and services, and talking about saving and getting better employment and asset protection. So those are the areas that we really want to kind of focus on this afternoon. Again, talking about asset building, both opportunities as well as the barriers that we see. And as I'm sure everyone that is working with this community on this Zoom call knows how difficult and how hard it is to be poor. So on this slide, and this is a lot of data here, but oftentimes when I'm asked to give a speech to any community about VITA and what we're doing, I'll pull up this slide because I've had countless conversations with individuals who live and reside in the poorer sections of Washington, D.C. And their quick response to me is, Deacon Shanahan, I don't need to file. I don't make enough income to file, blah, blah, blah. And as you all well know, with the earned income tax credit and child tax credit, really anyone that is underemployed really should come into whether a VITA clinic or another clinic that's doing this work on a pro bono basis to have a conversation with them. And so when I put up this slide, it's absolutely staggering that someone who's underemployed is earning a minimum wage here in DC, which is $16 an hour. Let's assume they're able to get 1,000 hours of work in a particular year. And we'll just assume for the sake of discussion that their withholding on that paycheck was around $1,000. That when you look at a combination of the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit, plus the earned income tax credit at the DC level, that an individual making $16,000 can walk away from a VITA clinic with a refund of over $8,800 that's anticipated. And so that's the good news. The good news is, and you've seen versions of this slide by Roxy and others that are out there continually promoting the earned income tax credit as an asset building technique for all underserved communities. That's the good news. Let me comment now about what some of the barriers are that I see, having been working in this field now for 7 years. Firstly, notwithstanding all of our work in this area, there still continues to be a huge lack of awareness as to the benefits here. Many members of our community here in DC still have little knowledge or understanding what's available here. And we've used over the years, I mean, we'll put up posters on libraries and hair salons and fire stations. We've gotten geofencing going. We'll publish this in all kinds of faith-based church bulletins. But again, sadly, there continues to be large numbers in our community, at least, that are completely unaware of these refundable credits of this nature. So that's number one, is the importance of
Yes, I
coming
need
to
to
that barrier,
schedule an appointment with
lack of
a
awareness.
doctor's or
And again, our focus here at Catholic Charities is community outreach year long. The second barrier is access to VITA programs. Face it, there are not a lot of VITA programs near where shelters are typically built. And so what we've had to do with our shelters here is design a mobile VITA site where we'll gather a couple of hotspots, a printer, and a number of PCs, and we'll actually go out to the shelters and set up VITA programs there, and that has been very effective. And this is something that we continue to do year round, because it's not just the current year we're worried about, but also back years as well. Another barrier in serving this community is they don't have a fixed address, and they don't have many trusted friends or relatives who they can turn to. And I've been very fortunate to work with an agency that permits us to use our address as a mailing address for the Form 1040. There are other community organizations that we work with who are also willing to offer their mailing address as an address that we can put on the Form 1040. As part of our VITA program, the IRS requires us to examine their Social Security card as well as their photo ID card. And just given the nature and the chaos in which these people live, many times they lose these precious documents along the way. And so we have, with our Financial Stability Network, a team of wonderful volunteers who serve as financial coaches and mentors who will work with this community in securing from the Social Security Administration a new Social Security card. And we've also got situations where a number of the agencies that we work with will actually keep on file this Social Security card for future purposes. Getting a photo ID card here in the District of Columbia, our mentors and coaches will actually go to DMV. The organization handles driver's license, and they will, for this community, provide them a photo ID. And then the next barrier really relates to so many of the individuals who we do serve, who do have some level of income, are self-employed. They've had a difficult time getting a job with a more traditional employer. And we have found with the self-employed community that it's very difficult for them to determine what is their net business income. And so our volunteer coaches and mentors work with them throughout the course of the year to implement an easy to keep a bookkeeping system. And not just bookkeeping, but also showing them how to, if need be, prepare estimated taxes to be paid quarterly. So those are just some kind of general barriers that I see in our VITA program. But let's talk about some other areas related to tax, and we'll start with the economic impact payments. Whenever I'm out visiting with these shelters, I'm always, because again, we're always having an influx of new clients that we're serving, new residents within our shelters. How many of these individuals have been unaware of these economic stimulus checks? And And so they're unaware. The IRS is also unaware. I mean, the IRS has no idea that this community even exists. They have not filed income tax returns in the past, for the most part, and wouldn't know how to reach them otherwise. And so they've been unable to actually send them their stimulus checks, as all of us have received on our end. Also, and I know there'll be a separate discussion on this with this group, Roxy, but there's a lot of confusion about whether individuals who are currently incarcerated or are returning from incarceration, returning citizens, those individuals equally are available to obtain these economic impact payments. The first income tax payments came out in 2020. There were two of them that totaled $1,800 per individual. And I really want to highlight the importance of reaching this community as quickly as possible, because this time a year from now, April 15th of 2024, the IRS statute of limitations rules will bar an individual from requesting a refund after April 15th, 2024. And again, this is for tax year 2020. So the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking that this $1,800 per individual will be unable to be requested if we go beyond April 15th of 2024. So the outreach needs to continue, as we'll be doing here in Washington this summer. We're going to be working with a number of interns to try and reach this community and make these requests well before the absolute deadline of next April 15th. And so similarly, the next round of stimulus checks came out in 2021. So we're going to have the same panic attack a year from now, talking about the 2021 economic impact payments that need to be filed or need to be requested, those refunds requested by April 15th of 2025. I continue to be troubled with a number of the clients that I serve, that we get the paperwork in on time, only for them to receive a note from the IRS. And since the IRS has no record of them and they're concerned about fraud, rampant fraud in this area, and I understand that, but the IRS makes it virtually impossible for our clients to verify their identification, that they give them an 800 number that's impossible to reach. I've tried, my clients have reached. We've actually walked into the IRS's office here in Washington, D.C. They won't resolve the issue there. And currently I'm working with the Taxpayer Advocate Services Office of the IRS, because this is a systemic issue that for individuals who have experienced homelessness, who have not been paying taxes, and so the IRS has no knowledge of them. I understand their issue of being concerned about fraud, but they also need to give us an opportunity, an easy opportunity, to prove that the individual who's made this request actually exists. As I mentioned, through the great work of many organizations like Roxy's, is that the earned income tax credit is continuing to grow at the state level. And the state of Maryland, it's 50% of the federal EITC. Here in DC, it's 70% of that amount, 70% of the federal level here in DC, that will grow up to 100%. But what I find equally interesting here is not only the growth of EITC at the state level, but the states are also recognizing the importance of asset building for individuals who do not have Social Security numbers. And so we have a large number of clients coming forward right now seeking ITINs. And by seeking an ITIN, they will be able to enjoy an earned income tax credit at the state level. Because of that, and because of the surge of individuals coming forward seeking ITINs, that our VITA program used to turn them over to groups that actually work in this space. But we realized after talking to our clients that these organizations that process ITINs and actually make the applications for them, And really all their job is, 'cause at the VITA clinic, we will do everything, including preparation of the Form W-7 that serves as the application. So all these other organizations do are simply look at the passport and charge a $500 fee to look at the passport. So our VITA program applied, and now we are now certifying acceptance agents. So we're able to provide that one-stop shop at our VITA program, where we're able to not only prepare the return, but also inspect the passport, hand the passport back to the taxpayer, and then file this paperwork via mail with the IRS Service Center in Texas. Again, overcoming that barrier of high fees to get an ITIN. As I mentioned before, VITA is it's a tremendous on-ramp to other services, and we have found, particularly here in DC, the importance of having conversations with our clients about banking. For whatever odd reason, and I did not grow up in this area, but DC has the highest percentage of unbanked individuals in the United States. And so we're encouraging our clients to have their refunds directly deposited. And if they don't have a bank account, we'll work with them to work with a bank who follows the Bank On national account standards that will provide safe and affordable banking accounts. And for our clients that have had a run-in with banks in the past, perhaps a bad history, we'll avoid any bank that uses check systems. And our financial coaches and will find banks that do not use check systems that actually provide a second chance to our clients. Anyway, I'm looking at my clock right now, Roxy, and I could talk a little bit more about how we use VITA for working with this community. When they're visiting with us, we'll introduce them to the importance of financial education. We'll talk to them the importance of using one of our employment coaches. And we also talk to them at the VITA clinic about asset protection. But I know I wanted to be wrapped up here in about 15 or 20 minutes. So let me just stop there, and maybe some of these topics will come up in the Q&A session, okay?